Your hands are shaking, not because you're cold, not because you're tired. It's 6:47 in the morning, the market opens in 13 minutes and you just went all in. Not 5%, not 10%. Your entire account is sitting in one trade. Your eyes are locked on the screen. Your breathing is shallow. You can feel your heartbeat in your fingertips. And right now, you're telling yourself this is confidence. But it's not. It's something else. Because what you're about to do next has nothing to do with your strategy, and everything to do with something happening inside your brain that you don't even realize is controlling you. Stay with me. Because once you see this, you won't be able to trade the same way again. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a perfect setup form in real time? I mean textbook, everything aligned and still not taken the trade. You just sat there, cursor hovering, waiting for one more confirmation that never came, and then it ran, without you. Or maybe you took a trade, it went in your direction, and the moment it pulled back slightly, just slightly, you panicked out. Full exit. And then watched it continue to the exact target you had written in your journal the night before. Or maybe, and this one hurts, you had a bad loss, a real one. And instead of stepping away, you immediately opened another position, bigger, to get it back. Because the idea of closing your platform down and sitting with that loss felt physically unbearable. If any of that is you, I need you to understand something. You are not undisciplined. You are not weak. You are not missing some secret strategy that the profitable traders are hiding from you. You are human, and your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Mark Douglas spent decades studying why intelligent, prepared traders consistently self-destruct. He watched people who could explain every technical concept with precision, support, resistance, risk-reward, probability, blow their accounts in real time. Not from ignorance. From something deeper. He wrote that the market doesn't create your emotional response. Your mind does. Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest speculators who ever lived, lost and rebuilt fortunes multiple times. Not because the market outsmarted him. Because he kept violating his own rules in moments of emotional pressure. He knew what to do. He just couldn't do it when it mattered most. These weren't amateurs. These were men who had seen more market cycles than most people have had meals. So if it wasn't knowledge they were missing, what was it? Here's what nobody tells you when you start trading. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a losing trade and a physical threat. Seriously. The same system that kept your ancestors alive when a predator was nearby, the fight-or-flight response, the cortisol spike, the tunnel vision, activates when your position goes red. Your nervous system does not know you're sitting in a chair staring at a screen. It thinks you are in danger. It thinks you need to survive right now. So it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, long-term thinking, impulse control, and hands control over to the amygdala. The alarm system, the part that only knows one thing, make the pain stop, and that's when it happens. That's when you cut the winner too early. That's when you revenge trade. That's when you stare at a setup you've been waiting weeks for and still can't pull the trigger. It's not lack of knowledge. It's biology overriding logic. The problem isn't your strategy. The problem is that your body is treating the market like a predator, and you cannot think clearly when you believe you are being hunted. Here's the behavior pattern. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You hesitate on entries because a part of you is afraid to be wrong in real time. You exit winners early because holding feels like standing too close to a cliff edge. You stay in losers too long because closing the trade makes the loss real. And as long as the position is open, there's still hope. You increase size after losses because winning big is the only way to emotionally neutralize a painful loss. That's not a trading problem. That's a nervous system in survival mode making financial decisions. And here's the brutal part, you know this. On some level, you already know this. You've read about discipline. You've told yourself you'll be different this time. You've written rules in your journal and broken every single one of them under pressure. You know what to do, and you still don't do it. Why? Because knowing and feeling are processed in completely different parts of the brain. And in moments of high pressure, feeling always wins. Now here's where everything changes. The traders who figured this out, and I mean really figured it out, not just intellectually but in their bodies, they all arrived at the same counterintuitive conclusion. The best traders are the most cautious people in the room, not the most aggressive, not the ones swinging for life-changing trades, the ones who almost seem boring, who talk about position sizing in the same tone someone else uses to talk about grocery lists, who take a loss and say, "That's fine," and mean it. You've probably looked at that kind of trader and thought, they just don't feel it like I do. They must be wired differently. They're not wired differently. They train differently. They understood that confidence in trading is not about position size. It is not about conviction. It's about emotional neutrality, the ability to execute a plan and genuinely not be attached to the outcome. Not fake detachment, real detachment. Built over time through consistent exposure to manageable risk. But let's be honest about what's really happening when you go all in. It's not a trading decision. It's a negotiation with your self-image. Because somewhere beneath the charts and the analysis, there's a belief running in the background. That one big trade could fix everything. That one win could silence the self-doubt. That you could finally prove to yourself, maybe to others, that you belong here. That's not edge. That's ego in disguise. And the market doesn't care about your story. It doesn't know you need this trade to work. It doesn't reward desperation. It doesn't punish doubt. It's completely indifferent to everything you're feeling. The suffering isn't coming from the market. It's coming from the story you're telling yourself about what this trade means. So what do you actually do? First, before anything else, you reduce size until the outcome genuinely does not affect your emotional state. Not reduce it a little. Reduce it until a loss is just information, until you can watch price move against you and feel curious instead of afraid. This is not weakness. This is how you access your actual intelligence during a trade. Second, you breathe, not metaphorically, physiologically. A slow exhale, longer than the inhale, directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It sends a signal to your body that there is no threat, that you are safe. Do this before you enter. Do this when a trade goes against you, not as a ritual, as a biological intervention. Third, you journal, not your P and L, your emotional state before, during, and after each trade. You are building self-awareness as a skill. You are learning to recognize the feeling of impaired judgment before it costs you money. The journal becomes a mirror that shows you who you are under pressure. None of these tools are designed to make you more money directly. They are designed to calm your nervous system. Because a calm nervous system is the only environment where your actual trading skill can function. You are not a gambler who needs to get lucky. You are a risk manager who needs to stay rational. That shift from outcome chaser to process executor is not a mindset hack. It's a complete identity change. And it doesn't happen because you read something or heard something. It happens because you repeatedly, deliberately choose process over outcome until it becomes who you are. The version of you that went all in at 6:47 in the morning was not a bold trader. That was a frightened person trying to escape a feeling. And no trade, no matter how good the setup, can fix what's broken underneath. Winning, from this point forward, means something different. It means you followed your rules when it was hard. It means you took the loss and felt something close to calm. It means you sat in front of a screen for 6 hours, saw 3 setups, took 2 of them, skipped one because the conditions weren't right, and closed your platform feeling like that was enough. Not exciting, not cinematic enough. The market is not doing anything to you. Prices are moving, that's all they're doing. Your mind is the one creating the narrative, the danger, the urgency, the meaning. And your mind can learn to create a different one. One where uncertainty is normal, where losses are expected, where a single trade is just one data point in a long, patient process. You're still sitting at that screen. The market is about to open. Take a breath. Reduce your size. Read your rules. Then trade like someone who has nothing to prove.